All right, we in there. Let's go. All right.
All right, I'd like to start off by saying, Call Halal Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. My name is Kyle, and I'm back with another camp downtown San Antonio, right outside the Riverwalk. And yeah, it just rained today, so it might be a little bit quieter than normal. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get through my lesson today. My lesson, or the main theme of my of the scriptures today, is going to be that Israel has enemies, right? One of the things that I continuously see with Israelites in and out of the truth, but mostly out of the truth, is that our people behave like we don't have enemies, right? But if you go to the book of Psalms in 83, it tells you that Israel has enemies. I'm going to read that to you, right? All right. Give me just 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Alright, did you guys know you're going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Whether you want to hear it or not, I'm going to tell you. So just get on right around the corner. You guys are going into slavery for what you did to us. That's in the Bible. So if you call yourselves believers or not, right, you guys have a recompense coming to you. You don't think it's fair that you guys get the same thing that you did to us? All the raping, the robbing, the buck breaking, having us do all that work for you for hundreds of years? Over $4 trillion of revenue was collected by your people. And then you had the nerve to turn around and tell us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But here's the reality. One day you're going to have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps after your ass is in the cotton field for 500 years, getting your back beat in, having your ideas stolen, your business's acquisition. It's going to happen to you. Walking around on stolen land like you ain't got a care in the world, while blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are being locked in prisons in record numbers. While your people are still locking our Hispanic brothers and sisters in cages at the border. While you're still pushing our Native American brothers on reservations. And even then, it's not enough. You've got to come back and run pipelines through their land. Just know, judgment is coming to you, Edomites. Anyhow, let's go ahead and get it. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Hey, y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? Well, brother, if your father's a native Hispanic, you come from the tribe of Issachar. You're an Israelite according to the Bible. Repent and keep God's laws. All right. This is verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So, thus far, it's saying that we have enemies, and not only do we have enemies, but they are actually clicked up. They're linked up. They're consulting one another. They're helping one another to oppress us. Now, it's going to go into detail who these enemies are. But just to drive home the point, this is something that we in our tribes of Israel, in the nation of Israel, what we need to do is we need to actually recognize that not only are we in captivity, but there are forces actively working against us, right? Whether it's you want to buy a house and the bank is trying to redline you out of a certain neighborhood or into a certain neighborhood, or you're trying to get a certain job so you can occupy a certain tax bracket, or you're just simply trying to be at peace in your own home, right? There are enemies that our people face day in and day out, and it's not just the police, right? How you doing, brother? I see you looking. You know you're an Israelite, right? If your father's a native Hispanic from the tribe of Issachar, I can see the salt on you, brother. How y'all doing today? Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Actually, if you don't mind, where does your father go back to? Is he a native Hispanic or? Where is your father?
He's from Texas. I don't know. My mom's Japanese. So.
Your mom's Japanese? But your father's what matters for the Bible. Yeah. But if your father belongs to like a Japanese man or European, you're going into slavery. Just like your wife there, she also is going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You throw that thumbs up, and we did the same thing as we try to teach your people how to live. Did you know you Edomites used to walk on all fours and you lived in caves? You picked lice out of your beards. It's funny, you walk around on stolen land like there ain't a problem. And then when somebody tells you have a judgment coming, it's a thumbs up. But don't worry, when we're beating your backs in, you're going to be throwing plenty of those. All right, let's go ahead and get it in verse 6. So this is going to tell us who our enemies are, all right? Or at least some of our enemies, because not all of them. Because we have more enemies than what's listed here. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Salah. So this lists quite a few enemies here. I'm going to go into detail, just explain it here. So it starts off with the chief enemy of the Most High and the Israelites, and that's Edom, the Edomites. Idumea, however you want to address them, so-called white man. Either way, they are the chief enemy of God and his chosen people. And history demonstrates that, right? From, of course, everybody knows about the transatlantic slave trade, but what people don't honestly know is the other slave trades that took place, right? The transatlantic slave trade was not just directed from the west coast of Africa to America. It went from the South Americas back to Portugal and Spain. It also went all abroad the world as they basically sent slaves all around, from Europe to Africa. They sent slaves all around the world, right? And that would be the Edomites, right? But the second enemy is listed here are the Ishmaelites, the so-called Arab man, right? The so-called Arab man is someone that our people are not quite that familiar with in terms of who they are under the banner of Arab. For the most part, our people, we see them in convenience stores, gas stations, and every once and again we see them walking about, but for the most part, we don't have too many interactions. But trust and believe, they oppress us too, and they also had us in a form of bondage or in slavery as well, the sub-Saharan slave trade. Excuse me. Y'all got something to talk about the Bible?
We got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes? All right. Well, did you guys know that in this book it lists the tribes of tribes of people that are on this planet right now?
Okay.
And do you guys know who you are in the Bible? Like which tribe you belong to?
No.
Who's your father?
No.
So is your father? Your father's not that. But is your father your dad?
You're not saying father or dad?
Yeah, your father or dad. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the father, God.
Well, God's not your dad because you're an Edomite, correct? Is your father European? So yeah, God's not your father. Yeah, even Jesus Christ himself said he wasn't sent but into the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And the covenants that were made with Israel, right? Whether you're talking about Moses in the old covenant or the new covenant to come, it's all with Israel. So my question is, do you guys know what happens to the Edomites and the other heathen nations? After, in the end, in the judgment? Do you know about that?
I do not.
Okay, well, you guys going into slavery. That's what the judgment is. Whether you read the book of Amos, the book of Obadiah, book of Jeremiah, Isaiah, it's a reoccurring theme. Y'all are going into slavery for what y'all did to us, God's chosen people.
Never understood.
Yeah, y'all too. I'm going to have a better day when I'm beating your back on the concrete. And I'm doing to you what you guys did to my people. The fact that you guys have the audacity to walk up and down stolen land while you guys are still rape, robbing, and pillaging is amazing. It's amazing. God curse you, devil. God curse you. And when the Messiah finally comes back and y'all see he's a black man, man, I can't wait for that day as he cuts your head off. When y'all wake up in slavery, it's going to be a good time. And you Edomites, y'all ain't built for it, so we're going to have to work y'all out a little bit. Have y'all live some heavy shit for a while and get y'all in shape. It's going to be a good time. And if you thinking it wasn't you, it was your forefathers, the Bible has you covered. It has prepared slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. See, they're interested in the Bible if you're about to come out with some gummy bears and teddy bears and hugs and Jesus loves everybody. But the moment you give somebody their actual judgment according to their patrilineal lineage, they don't want to talk to you anymore, right? All of a sudden it's have a nice day, God bless you. And they don't even understand who they're asking for blessings from. But that's the best thing about this scripture. All you have to do is read the scriptures and stick to the script. And it tells you basically the part that everyone plays, and it tells you the end time judgment that every person or tribe on the stage of this world is going to actually have to suffer, right? Suffering a consequence doesn't always mean it's a bad thing, but it's certainly a bad thing when you've done nothing but put out wickedness and debauchery and depravity, right? Because you're going to get back what you put out, and that's what these Edomites are afraid of. That's why the moment I started giving them their judgment, they had to bounce. But anyway, the Ishmaelites, yeah. So for the most part, that's the Arab man, and they descend from Ishmael. Ishmael was the brother of Isaac, born of Hagar. Hagar was a bondmaid or a bondservant to Abraham. So, yeah, I mean that's another enemy of the Israelites, and they too had us in slavery. And after that, we have Moab. Moab is the so-called Chinese, right? Whether you're reading in, I believe it's in the book of Judges, with Ehud, the Benjamite, who slew King Eglon. But King Eglon had our people in slavery, and he was a Moabite. And essentially, yeah, they did the same thing to us, although to a lesser degree than the white man, but they abused us all the same, right? And we know who the Chinese man is, whether we're talking about, kung fu movies, fried rice, I mean, I hate to bring up all the cliched stuff, but let's face it, most of these so-called nations, they're not known for their ingenuity and their inventiveness. They're known for essentially the tropes that are parroted here in America. Because when you look at these nations, if you ever get a glimpse inside their nation, whether it's on the internet or through videos, for the most part, they're pretty bland and flavorless people. All right, that's why in the Bible it calls Moab the Most High's washpot. They are quite disgusting, eating squids, bats, and things of that nature. Y'all got something to talk about the Bible? No? Okay. Well, if your fathers go back to native Hispanic people, that would make you from the tribe of Issachar. That would make you an actual Israelite. But if your fathers go back to European men, so-called white people, y'all are going into slavery, right? If your fathers go back to Middle Eastern people such as Pakistani, Iraqi, going into slavery. Chinese, Japanese, going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. Y'all are going to get back what you did to us. We've built up all the kingdoms of this world. The Great Wall of China was built by our people, right? The pyramids all across the globe were built by our people. The inventions that you hold dear, from your cell phone to the internet to the car, all built by our people. So just don't worry. Make sure you guys know that slavery is coming to you for what you've done to God's chosen people. And then you've got the Hagarenes. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to leave that.
Salakia, y'all. 1 second. What's that?
Salakia, y'all. Salakia. So we're going to go ahead and get that. I should have looked this up before I left, but oh, I know that. That's the sons of Hagar. I'm sorry. Salakia, y'all. So the sons of Hagar are also of Ishmael, of course. All right. All praise to the Most High. And then Gabal and Ammon. Ammon being the Japanese, right? And of course, the Japanese also had us in slavery, a part of the Silk Road slave trade, right? Not to mention all these different nations that I've listed so far. They set up businesses in our communities. They abuse our women when they go to their establishments and get their nails or their hair done. They abuse our men too. For the most part, it tends not to be physical because, let's face it, most of these nations are quite cowardly, right? But all these nations are part of police departments. All these nations occupy certain states and what's the word I'm looking for? I guess just say states or positions within Esau's kingdom. And Esau puts them over us so he can keep us basically held down in a position of servitude and oppression, right? So, the Japanese and the Chinese and the Arab men are just as culpable as Esau in our abuse, right? But lastly, it lists, it lists the Philistines last, but before last, it lists Amalek. Amalek is the chief house of Edom, right? That's the so-called fake Jew today, right? They were converted around 135 BCE under John Hyrcanus and the Hasmonean dynasty, right? Now, the question is, what would possess our people to convert these animals, dare I say beasts of the field, right? Well, our people have always had a penchant for trying to reform Esau, trying to include and because I mean let's be honest and forthright here. The heathen nations are our inheritance, right? Although we don't have them as a possession yet, our mindset is they are our children. And in a sense, that's correct. Because in the kingdom, we're going to be the ones teaching them the law, statutes, and commandments to keep. We're going to be the ones, taking in their sacrifices. We're going to be the ones governing their nations, telling them how to live, telling them, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible that they're going to live by. And if they refuse to, they're going to perish. Right? Excuse me, sister. Do you have a second to talk about the Bible? No? Well, before you go, if you don't mind, is your father a native Hispanic person?
No.
No? Is your father a European?
Yes.
That means you're going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. Did you know the Bible says that? The Edomites are going into slavery? That you guys have a judgment coming for what you've done to our people? See, it's funny. Nobody wants to talk when it comes to judgment, when it comes to the recompense that is owed to you all for our abuse. But don't worry. One day there won't be any talking. When our Messiah comes and he raises us up, we're not going to be talking anymore. It's going to be hunting season. See, she didn't even want to talk to me. The moment I said that she had slavery coming, she had to go. Anyway. All right. But Amalek is the chief enemy out of all the tribes, or the heathen tribes of the earth. Amalek is the utmost enemy of the Most High. So in Romans 9 and 13, when it says, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated, I mean, Amalek epitomizes that hate. And if you look at the Amalekites, on average, suffer more congenital birth defects than any other nation on the planet. They suffer from skin cancer more than any other nation on the planet. And just looking at their people, they're a very odious and revolting people. The fact that they don't bathe all that often, the fact that they don't brush their teeth, or they don't have good hygiene in general. That's one of the reasons why, for the most part, you don't get a chance to interact with them very much. Because the moment you start interacting with them and they say that they're God's chosen people, the first thing that runs through your mind is, out of all the people on the planet, the Most High chose these people. It doesn't make any sense. But here are all the enemies of the children of Israel listed here, right? And it's unfortunate that a lot of our people don't quite understand that these nations have a judgment coming, right? And if you go to the book of Jeremiah in 48, or starting in Jeremiah 48, and go on from there, you'll see that the judgment coming. Actually, you know what? Back to that. But they have a judgment coming, and the Bible goes on at length how the Most High is going to exercise all of his fury and his pleasure in recompensing these nations. Just 1 second while I get there. All right. So this is going to be Jeremiah 48. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 48 and verse 1. Against Moab, thus saith the Most High of hosts, the God of Israel, woe unto Nebo, for it is spoiled. Kiriathaim is confounded and taken. Misgab is confounded and dismayed. These are all Moabite cities, right? There shall be no more prayer, or there shall be no more praise of Moab. In Heshbon, they have devised evil against it. Come and let us cut it off from being a nation. Also thou shalt be cut down, O madmen. The sword shall pursue thee. So this is saying the end time judgment of Moab. And notice the vernacular used is very similar to the vernacular used concerning the judgment of Israel and the curses of Deuteronomy 28, right? You know, the conditions of the curses and the blessings that are listed in the book of Deuteronomy we're not just a one-way application, right? Because cursed are those who curse us, and blessed are those who bless us. So the same way that we were cursed in the city, the same way that, you know, our household is cursed, where, you know, it's an evil eye toward our brother and toward our, you know, our wife and our children, that same thing is going to befall Moab, right? And we're going to go ahead and keep going. So we're going to skip to verse 7. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken, and Chemosh shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. So this is talking about Moab going into captivity, right? Esau is not the only nation going into slavery. All these heathen nations are going into slavery for what they've done to our people, because all of them have had us in slavery. Now, of course, there's going to be varying degrees of oppression put on each nation, right? Because every nation didn't do to us what Esau did, right? Esau did it worse and longer than any other nation on the face of the earth. But that does not exonerate the lesser offenders, right? And this is still concerning Moab. This is verse 10. Cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. How you doing, brother? How you doing? You got a second to talk about the Bible, brother? No? Well, brother, if your father is a so-called American Negro, that would make you from the tribe of Judah. Make sure you repent and keep God's laws, brother. Time is short. You should be out here with me, prophesying and waking our people up. It's a shame, brother. Really is. All right. But verse 10, I'm going to read it again. Cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. So, this essentially, this not only goes against Moab, but this contains a few pearls for our people as well, right? Doing the work of the Lord is a precious and holy thing. Holy meaning set apart. And if you're doing it deceitfully, the Most High is going to see you out. You're going to receive a judgment for that thing, right? But concerning Moab, the Chinese have misled our people as well, right? They too have latched on to white Jesus. They too have latched on to the edicts and principles of Edom, right? So they are culpable as well. Y'all got something to talk about the Bible? No? Too busy walking up and down stolen land? Yeah. Well, if your fathers go back to so-called white men, you guys know you're going into slavery, according to the Bible. That would make you Edomites. Yep, Jesus didn't come for everybody. Jesus don't love everybody. Jesus himself said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And y'all are going to pay for what you've done to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You're going to pay for what you're still doing as you walk up and down stolen land, exploiting the people, exploiting the land, destroying the air and the water and the food. You Edomites are a cancer to the earth. But don't worry, your judgment is coming for all the evil that you've done. Y'all got something to talk about the Bible? But before you go, brother, is your father Native Hispanic or Native American? Like Mexican?
Hispanic, yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys know in the Bible you guys are Israelites? From the tribe of Issachar?
Say that again?
In the Bible, you guys are the tribe of Issachar. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
Part of the northern kingdom? Oh, you knew that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you read the Bible often?
Yeah.
Okay. Where your fringes at, brother?
Huh?
Where your fringes? Well, brother, just in case, did you know about the fringes?
No.
Okay. Did you want me to read that to you? Because I would really like you to at least walk away knowing to keep one of God's laws. Right? Do you know the name of God? That's actually the best place to start.
God or Jesus?
Both, actually. What do you think God's name is? Let's start there.
God's, I don't know. I just know him by God.
Okay.
Jesus,
Okay, Jesus, let's start there. How about that?
Jehovah?
So they usually call God Jehovah, but that's not his name. The letter J is only about 500 years old. So that can't be his name. His name is Yahweh. So you know the Native Americans, when they would do their powwows and their dances, they go, oh, Yahweh. Yeah, that's the name of God. Because not only the Native Americans speak Hebrew, but so did Mexicans. And so did all of your brothers down in South America, because they too are your brothers. So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're all one people. That's why we all cook. Well, we cook different cuisines, but we're known for having, great tasting food. We all can dance. We play sports. We're the strongest, the fastest, and the smartest. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Nobody works harder than the Mexican man. That's also the truth, right? The Bible talks about Issachar. His name means he is hired. Isn't that exactly what the Mexican man is? Y'all, if y'all need a job done, who's going to do it the best? Y'all, right? And it also talks about the animal of your nation being the burro or the donkey, right? And it says that Issachar is a strong ass, crouched down between two burdens. Where's Mexico at? Between America and South America. Yeah, brother. Come get your heritage, man. You're not a Mexican American. America was named after an Italian navigator named Amerigo Vespucci, right? So have you watched videos and stuff concerning this, like the Hebrew Israelites and all that?
I've watched some of them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the name of God is Yahweh, and the name of his son is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai, that means he saves.
What chapter is it on the Bible?
Well, it's not a matter of the chapter saying the actual name and the proper pronunciation. The document is called the Tetragrammaton, and it's the oldest document that we have with God's name on.
Okay.
Right? And basically, if you go into the Paleo Hebrew, or if you go online and go to blueletterbible.org, it has a lexicon. That lexicon, not only can you look at a verse, but you can go into each Hebrew or Greek definition for each word. So using that lexicon, you can ascertain what certain things mean and get more understanding from it that way. Cool. All right. But I don't want to hold y'all up.
Awesome, I appreciate it.
Yeah. What's your tribe before you go?
Huh?
What's your tribe before you go? What tribe did I say you're from? Issachar. So I would recommend just write it down if you have a chance. But it's Issachar. Issachar. There's a city in Mexico called Issachar de Matamoros.
Matamoros?
Yeah. It sounds like you're familiar with. Huh?
Is that where Isaac came from?
Well, no. So Isaac Isaac came from Abraham, and then Abraham and all.
The name Isaac, is that where it came from?
No, the name Isaac is actually. So Isaac's name in the Bible is not Isaac. So like Jacob is Yaquab. I forget what Isaac's is, but it's a Hebrew name. So most of the names that you know, like Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, they didn't have those actual names because during the New Testament, that was during the Roman occupation, right? So they would have had Roman and Greek names.
See, and that's what I always question because a lot of the stuff, like you said, the names didn't come to after they wrote the Bible again. I mean, and just the translation, the other people that wrote it, that's what they started putting their own. I mean, I know it's deeper. I was telling her, it goes deeper.
So the natives are not bad, like
Native Americans, you mean?
No, like the powwows that you were saying.
Yeah.
That's news that I heard, and that's that confirmation. We were talking about it a while back, right? About it.
yeah, because I wanted to learn more about the natives, and that you said that.
That where they sing.
They were saying like Yahweh in their dances.
Yeah.
But the thing is though, so whenever the northern kingdom, if you read the book of 2nd Ezra, that's part of the Apocrypha. Are you aware of that? The 14 books that were pulled out of the Bible?
No.
So the original 80 books of the Bible, they were whittled down to 66 after the Protestant Reformation. They took 14 books out of the Bible. Now, ironically enough, those books talk about the northern kingdom, which is basically Hispanics and Native Americans, coming from Assyria and Africa and coming over here, and this land was called Arsareth, right? Because basically they wanted to go somewhere so that they can keep the laws after their captivity in Assyria. But they came over here and soon went into idolatry. That's why they have totem poles and all the other stuff.
So when the Indians are singing their dance, spiritually they're singing to God, right? They're calling on to Him.
But the thing is though, so say like when you go to church, you praise Jesus, right? Right. Even if you praise Jesus by the right name, if you don't keep the commandments, it doesn't mean anything. You see what I'm saying? So even though they were praising the right name of God, they weren't keeping the commandments of God. Therefore, the Most High sent His sword, which is the white man. The white man is crooked by nature, as you guys know.
Right.
And everything that basically is wrong, he's doing it. Whether it's raping dogs, raping kids, raping the land, that's what he does. That the Most High made him like that. And if you look through the Bible, whenever we would not keep God's laws, He would send us into captivity. And that kept happening over and over again until we finally got to the Grecian captivity, which was the first time that the white man had us in captivity.
So it could go back to anybody that go praise God in the church. If they don't do their commandments, it's pointless, right?
So it's not anybody. So
say like ourselves that we go to church every Sunday and we're praising Him, and we're at church and worshiping Him. But if our actions are not following God's commandments, then it's just like you said.
Correct. So, like, for instance, like you're saying, if you go to church, well, the Bible cuts you off right there. It says the Most High doesn't dwell in temples made with hands. You see what I'm saying? So the Bible is going to guide you so that you can stay out of the hands of predatory pastors who only want your money.
Right.
But if you're praising God in truth, praying to Him facing the east, if you're a woman, when you pray to God and face the east, you're supposed to have your head covered. Right? So, yeah, that's also in the Bible. Not to mention, it also talks about wearing a modest apparel. Like, you're not supposed to wear that which pertaineth unto a man. That's in the book of Leviticus. And what am I wearing that pertains unto a man? Shorts or pants, right? So the Bible talks about a woman having modest apparel, like a dress. Now, I understand you're dressed in how you're dressed, but you might be just finding this out, right? But actually, I didn't ask you. What's your father? Mexican as well?
I thought he was more
White.
he was white, but I think he has. I know he told me, but like
Spain.
Spaniard.
Spaniard?
Spain.
I would do more diligence and see who your father is, because the original Spaniards weren't white either. So there was an expulsion from Spain and Portugal before the, what's it called? Shit. Basically, when they were killing the Jews, there was an expulsion of Jews during the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. You know about the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
Well, what was happening at that point is that basically the Israelites who ruled Europe for 1,000 years during the Byzantine Empire, our empire was falling, and when the white man was coming out of the caves to conquer, essentially after he came into power, he started basically pushing us out of the nation. That's actually how some of the Israelites came from Europe to the west coast of Africa and joined the other, basically southern kingdom of people who came from Israel after the Roman occupation in 70 AD, which destroyed the temple. They migrated to the west coast. So they knew we were there, and they were pushing us out from Europe into the west coast as well. And then from there, they would take us here to America through the transatlantic slave trade. So, but I don't know if you know this, but Mexicans and Native Americans, you guys were actually put on the transatlantic slave trade too.
Right.
You guys were taken to Portugal and Spain, right, for Queen Isabella.
Right.
And I think what's his name, King Philip or Prince Philip, something like that. But anyway, but either way, your people have been in slavery just like our people, and we're actually brothers. But did you have any questions while you're here? No? Well, brother, hopefully, just get home, read some of the Bible, and read 2nd Ezra if you have a chance. Okay, that's going to talk about the Northern Kingdom leaving to go to Arsareth and try to keep the laws here.
Okay.
And you could start from there and just try to build your faith up
Okay.
and keep some of the laws. All right, brother?
All right.
All right, man.
What was it called again?
Issachar. But the book is 2nd Ezra. Actually, let me show you the name. Hold on. I'll show you. So this is the Apocrypha right here. So after the Old Testament, after the book of Malachi, the Apocrypha starts. And then the first book in the Apocrypha is 1st Ezra. Yeah. And after that, 2nd Ezra, of course. Now I'm going to show you the part that I was talking about. Highlight it. What y'all doing today? Just out and about?
Yeah, we chilling about.
Okay, that's cool. Give me some exercise doing this. There. All right. So it's going to be 2nd Ezra and then chapter 8. And then it's a long chapter. Let's start at verse 40. And it talks about those of the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this consultation amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, which is over here, right? That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed them signs for them, and held still the flood till they passed over. For through the country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsuf. So this place isn't even called America, it's called Arsuf. Yes, sir. Learn your history, man. Yeah, you guys are amazing, just like every tribe of Israel. And I would recommend that you do some due diligence, because the fact that you stood and listened shows me that you have some decorum. And typically that's not something that you usually see from Edomites. So if your father is white, that would make you an Edomite, right? But, you know, there's a judgment coming for Edomites, and it's basically you're going to get back what your people did to his people, which is slavery. And it's going to be 1,000 years according to the Bible. And it's a rough pill to swallow. So, but see, again, the fact that you didn't just buck up, that tells me something might be different. Because Israel is scattered to all nations, right? Can you dance? Random question.
Not good.
Not good? Can you cook? A little bit?
Yeah.
You can cook, well, you know seasoning, right?
Yeah.
When she cooks, it's like, it's got a lot of flavor and spice.
Yeah.
That's not an Edomite trait. I'm not saying that they don't have those traits, but that's not something that's typical. So again, I'd recommend you do some more homework. But other than that, brother, keep the laws and repent.
All right.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Sure thing. All right. So we're gonna get right back to it. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and go to Jeremiah 48. Yeah, y'all, the wind is kicking up, man. This pigeon. Yeah, pigeons are real walking. And for those of y'all who don't know, the dove is the Most High's favorite bird, and a pigeon is basically a dove. Hence why the white man calls them flying rats, and he hates them. He's always trying to kill them, because the Most High set Esau as the profane and the wicked, and anything the Most High loves, they hate. But anyway, let's get this. One second. Just making sure he ain't trying to get my drink. Oh, shoot. All right. So we're on. What you doing, boy? You about to get my drink? Get away from my drink. All right. All right. So we're gonna go back to Jeremiah. All right. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? No? Well, if your father goes back to European people, did you know that Europeans are going into slavery for what they did to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? In the Bible, you guys would be the Edomites if your father's European. Well, I'll have a better day than you guys in slavery. That's going to be a great day. And we're going to do to you what you did to us. Those kids that you have, and the day that you're in slavery, we're going to rip the kids from their arms and sell them on auction blocks, just like you did to us. You are going to know the pain that we went through serving your people for 500 years. Every stripe that you put on our backs is going to be rendered unto you double. See, everybody just having a good old time. Funny. All right, so we're going to go back to it. This is Jeremiah chapter 48 and verse 11. Moab hath been at ease from his youth. He hath settled on his leagues, and hath not been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither hath he gone into captivity. Therefore his taste remained in him, and his scent is not changed. So essentially what the Bible is saying is that Moab has never been in captivity. He's never been displaced from his land. He's never lost his culture, right? So Moab has had a chance to get set and settled in his ways, right? Verse 12, therefore behold the days come, saith the Most High, that I will send unto him wanderers that shall cause him to wander, and shall empty his vessels and break their bottles. So if you look at Moab right now, where is he wandering? He's wandering into Africa, right? Not only is he having a population crisis because Moab had the bright idea of killing all the girls and only having boys, forcing him to go outside of his nation to look for females to breed with. But also, he's going outside of his nation because the number one buyer of all his exports is basically out of money. America is basically insolvent. And not to mention, we're at economic odds with China and Russia. So Moab is being forced to essentially go elsewhere for business partners, trading partners, and just to sustain his population. Right? But another chief thing that's causing Moab to wonder is the ideology and the principles that he has adopted from the white man. The white man was told, or has told the world, that not only can he travel everywhere and have access to everything if he has enough money and prestige, but he has influenced the rest of the world to do this. All to the exploitation of the Israelites. All to the detriment of our people, who are on the bottom in every nation of the world. Right? So, verse 13, and Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, and the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their confidence. I'm going to read that again. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their confidence. So again, the language being used here is comparative from the Israelites and our curses, and Moab and their curses. Just as we were ashamed to call ourselves Israelites, we were ashamed of our cities, we were ashamed of our heritage, so too shall they be when they're taken down and taken into captivity. When they realize that their fathers inherited lies and things that there are things which in there is no profit. When they come to the realization that all the pomp and the posturing of their nation is nothing but lies and folly, they're going to hate who they are. And how much more are they going to hate who they are when they see our people and our full strength and our full glory? All praises be unto the Most High, because those days are quickly coming. Verse 14, how say ye, we are mighty and strong men for the war? Moab is spoiled and gone up out of her cities, and his chosen young men are gone down to the slaughter, saith the king, whose name is the Most High of hosts. The calamity of Moab is near to come, and his affliction hasteneth fast. So it's coming very quickly. And we see the wars that are brewing all over the planet, the conflicts that are kicking off every day. It's skirmishes now, threatening and saber rattling now, but soon it's going to be bullets and bombs and planes and tanks. It's coming. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Well, just in case your fathers go back to European people, that would make you an Edomite, and you're going into slavery for what you've done to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Every stripe that you laid on my people's back, every time you sold us on the auction block, it's coming back to you all. Walking up and down stolen land like there isn't a problem. For all the rape, robbery, and murder that you put on our people. The rape, robbery, and murder that you're still putting on our people. As you pass those brothers right there, you should thank them for not kicking you off their land that you stole. Hey, brothers, did you guys know if your fathers go back to Native Hispanics, you guys are Israelites according to the Bible? You're actually of God's chosen people. The Bible describes the so-called Mexican man is the hardest worker on the planet. Isn't that the truth? Who works harder than the Mexican man? I know no one. Even my people, 500 years of slavery, and we still don't work as hard as you guys. Repent and keep God's laws. Learn your heritage. So we're going to go ahead and skip down to 26. Make ye him drunken, for he magnified himself against the Most High. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision. So again, the vernacular that's used here is very similar to what is used about the Israelites. You know, how we are like wild bulls in a net at the end of the streets. Basically groping at noonday. The terminology here is very, very similar. How you doing, sister? You got a second to talk about the Bible? No. Well, while you're going, is your father a native Hispanic person?
No.
Black?
No, Indian.
Indian? Ooh, man, you guys going into slavery. What you guys did to the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. You know the Indians in the Bible are Edomites? That's your actual biblical tribe. You guys have a judgment coming for what you guys did to us as well. Because y'all had us in slavery as well. The sub-Saharan slave trade. See, you laughing just now. But just know, in the kingdom, you're going to be doing our women's toenails. That hair that you sell in salons to our women, we're just going to cut it right off your head and throw it in the trash. Because we're not going to want it. And we don't want you to have it either. It's going to be a good time. All right, let's get back to it. But the vernacular of, basically like Babylon staggering in its own vomit and erring in every work, that's used here, right? Notice that the themes and the words used throughout the Bible tend to be very, very constant and consistent throughout. That's why when people turn around and say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, well, that's not consistent throughout the Bible. Jesus or Yahushua saying, those my enemies who will not serve me, bring hither and slay them before me. Or I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Things of that nature denote that not only are the heathen nations not loved of God and not accepted and not under the covenant, but also that they are going to receive a judgment. They're going to receive a recompense for what they've done to our people. And that is consistent and repeated through the Bible. All right. And it also says, he shall be in derision. Our people are currently in derision. We are at the lowest state that this world could possibly offer to a people. Right? When you want to talk about the most imprisoned, we are those people. The most impoverished, we are those people. The ones held in the lowest regard, we too are those people. That's why I always say this to my wife. Moab is going to be the new nigger, right? Esau is going to be something lower than that. But Moab is going to be the new nigger. Moab is going to be the new person acting a fool on Instagram and TikTok or whatever, social media variant we might have in the kingdom. All these things are coming to these heathen nations. But we're going to keep going. Verse 27, for was not Israel a derision unto thee? Was he found among thieves? For since thou spakest of him, thou skippedest for joy. So when these people talk about the low state of our people, they not only call us every racial pejorative in the book, but they also, they exclaim in joy that they get to exploit our people. How many times we go to their Chinese restaurants and make them rich? They open up a gas station, and before you know it, they're driving around in a Bentley, putting their kids through college, and we're still in the hood. These other nations, they cry out in joy, knowing that they put us on the bottom and that they continue to abuse us. And Moab is no different, the so-called Chinese man. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Well, if your fathers go back to so-called white men from Europe, German, stuff like that, you guys would be the Edomites in the Bible. And the Edomites are going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. What do you guys think about that? Nobody has anything to say? After 500 years of abuse, you guys are suddenly mute. Don't got nothing to say, but will tell me happily that Jesus somehow came for everybody. That he came to forgive the same people who are rape, robbing, and murdering his people. That are still stuffing his chosen children in cages at the border. That are still hanging black men throughout America. Y'all never stop lynching us, whether it's in prison or in random areas, in rural areas throughout America. You people are going into slavery for what you did to God's chosen people. And no amount of ignorance or ignoring me is going to change that. You're talking about somebody being ignorant, meanwhile your people are still walking up and down stolen land. I tell you, man, you Edomites, I can't wait for the day I can crack a whip over your back. I'm sorry, sister, I missed you. If your father is a native Hispanic, that would make you an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. See, these Edomites will say that you're being ignorant for telling them their judgment. But I can point out a postcard today that shows Edomites smiling and throwing thumbs ups and bringing their children and eating and having a gay old time around a hanging black man that's been lynched and burned. I can look at these pictures today. I can look at posts online from these wicked Edomites talking about how they want and can't wait to start race wars around America so that they can do to us what they've always dreamt of doing. Basically what their forefathers did to us. They want to shoot us down in the streets. They want to torture and kill us. They want to cut our rods off. That's something that the Edomite has never stopped doing. Right? But these Edomites will sit there and call you ignorant. Meanwhile, they are the perverse and the profane of the earth. That's why I know the day of reckoning, the day of judgment is going to be the sweetest, most liberating day that a man who has been keeping God's commandments could ever hope for. It is the patience and the faith of the saints for us to do to them what they've done to us. To inflict the same hardcore bondage and abuse on them as they've done to us and continue to do to us. But getting back to verse 27, you know, it directly addresses what I was talking about, right? You know, it talks about how we were in derision. Like, were we not also in derision to the Chinese? Were we not also servants unto them? And yet, they were joyous at our being dominated by their people. But when you give them their judgment now, they go, well, Jesus came for everybody. Jesus loves everybody. I'm your brother. Let's have a hug. But the moment you give them their judgment, they don't want to hear that. That part of the Bible, they don't want to have anything to do with. But it doesn't change the fact that they too are going into slavery. Verse 35, moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith the Most High God, him that offereth in the high places, and him that burneth incense to his gods. So the Most High is going to stop all this idolatrous practices in the Chinese nations. Y'all can run by, it's fine.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Yeah. Is your father a European by chance?
Sorry?
Is your father a European from Europe or like Ireland?
No.
Who's your father, if you don't mind me asking?
My dad, he's from here. He's from Alabama.
Okay. Well, he's from Alabama, the state, but
Yeah.
he's not native to America. Is he a Native American?
Oh, you're talking about our Father in heaven, aren't you?
No, because if you're an Edomite, God is not your father either. So if you're a so-called white man, that would make you an Edomite. The Edomites are actually the only nation in the Bible that's not guaranteed any mercy from the Most High. After 1,000 years of captivity, because all the heathen nations are going into slavery. So it's not going to be just the white man, the Japanese man, the Chinese man. All of you had the Israelites in slavery. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Whether we're talking about the transatlantic slave trade, the Silk Road slave trade, or the sub-Saharan slave trade, you've all done it, and you're all going into slavery for it. But the white man is the only Edomite. You're not guaranteed any mercy after 1,000 years of captivity. Y'all are going to be burned up off the face of the earth. That's what's going to happen to you. This earth is going to break out in the sea.
Where does it say that in the Bible?
Oh, let's get it. Let's get a few things. You got a second?
Where does it say that in the Bible?
What? Which part?
Yeah, which part does it say
So,
that in
you
the
want the
Bible?
part where you're going into slavery or the part where you're going to be burned up? Which part?
I thought that Jesus dying on the cross was penance for all of our sins.
Jesus said he wasn't sick, but until the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Okay, so then what are you trying to say? Are you just trying to bring me down?
No, bring it down. I'm trying to wake up my people. So, like me, for instance, before I came into this truth, I called myself an African American. Africa was conquered by a Roman general named Julius Africanus.
Okay.
America was named by an Italian navigator named Amerigo Vespucci. So, that being said, I'm trying to give my people back their real heritage because they're not Mexican, they're not Jamaican, they're not American of any sort. They're Israelites, right? The so-called Native American that you put on a reservation, he's not a Native
But I
American.
haven't done that.
But your forefathers did. And the Bible
How do
said,
you know that my forefathers
because that's
did
why
that?
I asked you who your father was.
I have no clue who
You
what
don't
my
know.
heritage is.
So you grew up without a father?
No, I know my father,
So
but
what
I
is
don't
your
know my
father?
heritage.
What's your lineage go back to? Let's go
I
back to
have no
that.
clue.
I would definitely try to see that out, because as far as I know, you're an Edomite.
Okay, so that means I'm going to be going into slavery. When's that going to start?
That's going to start when Jesus comes back, the so-called rapture y'all talk about. That's what he's coming back to do, right? He's coming back to subjugate.
What are the scripture coordinates for that?
You can look in the book of Revelations,
Okay.
or you can look in.
No, but I want to know the exact scripture
Well,
coordinates.
come on around and let's get it, because I'm not about to list off pearls to an Edomite. The same people who gave me a slave Bible and told me I wasn't a child of God and nothing but a nigger. So why am I going to
Why?
give?
I never told you that.
So I just told you. I asked you, who's your father? You are.
I have no clue what my heritage is.
So you're telling me, hello. So, but you're telling me that you don't know what your heritage is.
No, I don't.
But you know that your father's a white man, correct?
Yes.
And you know your father likely goes back to Europe, right?
Okay.
Likely.
Yeah.
Okay, the so-called Europeans, the original Europeans were not white men. They were the Minoans and the Etruscans. The same people that you displaced, your people, displaced in Greece and Rome.
But how is that my? How are the
Because
sons
the
of my
Bible says
father?
prepare slaughter for its children, for the iniquity of their fathers. The Most High requires that which is past. So you're saying...
But Jesus came to die on the
But
cross and
Jesus
washed
didn't
all that
come from
away.
you. He was only sent to the lost.
Jesus came.
So let's get it.
What
Let's
about
get
John 3:16? For God so loved the world that He
What's
gave His
John
only.
3:14 say?
What is John? I don't know. What
Let's
does John
get it.
3:14 say?
See, you're gonna say
You're in
that.
Revelations though. Go to John
I'm in
3:14.
Matthew right now. Turn to John.
Okay, turn to John. What does John 3:14
Look here, man. You're going into slavery. Look at it. Actually, Ron is Abraham. I'm thinking that he wasn't sent to the lost.
What are you out here to do?
I'm not here to wake my people up so that they know that they're the children of God, and I'm here to give you your judgment. That
But
the
I'm also
so-called
a child of God because
No,
I've
you're
accepted
not.
Jesus Christ
How are
into
you
my
a
heart.
child of God?
Because I've accepted Jesus
Where-
Christ into my
And
heart.
where does it say that in the Bible that if you accept Jesus, that you actually
Talks about it in Romans. Paul
Where?
says if you
Where?
believe with your heart.
Where? Come show me. Come show me.
It talks about it in
Yeah,
Romans.
you're telling me.
I don't know the exact coordinates, but
So
I know that in Romans
don't ask me for something that you can't give. Thank you.
I'm not
You
saying.
hypocrite.
I'm not
So
saying.
anyway, let me
How am I a
get this
hypocrite?
because you're asking me for coordinates, and then I ask you for them, and you can't give them to me.
But you can't give it
I'm
to me
trying
either.
to do it right now.
Then
All
what
you're
are the
doing,
exact
you're
coordinates?
asking 1,000 questions and not allowing me to turn to anything to answer. That is exactly what the accuser of my brethren does day and night. So get your Edomite ass off the street and prepare for slavery. Yes, slavery is coming to Edomite for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people.
So hang on. What are you out here to do?
I just told you, it's not for you to get up the street.
Then why?
I told you
Then
your
why'd you stop
judgment
me?
to
Then why'd
tell
you
you're
stop
going
me?
into slavery in my mission.
That's not what. Hey. What Bible are
So
you
do you
reading?
want me to get it or not? Because you're just asking questions and you don't want me to get it. Do you want me to get it?
Hey. Don't pray for me.
Don't pray for me because God doesn't hear
I'm
your
gonna
prayer.
pray for you.
He doesn't
Yes,
hear the
He
prayers
does.
of the wicked.
I know He.
What's
prayed.
God's name?
What's God's name?
Yes.
Yeshua.
No, it's not.
What is His name?
Why would I tell you? His name is dreadful among the heathen. I'm not going to tell you.
You don't even know His name then.
Why would I
If
tell
you knew His name, you'd know exactly what He's called you to do.
He
That's
called
spread
me
the
to
gospel.
cry aloud and spare not and lift up my voice like a trumpet. The fact that you're trying to goad me into telling you my God's name when you don't
Then
even
it's
know
not.
what God's
Then
name
it's
is.
not my God name. My God's name.
Because your God doesn't exist.
You don't worship the same God that we do.
I sure
The same
don't.
God that we do.
I sure
You're holding
don't.
the wrong book there, buddy.
How am I in the wrong book when this book says that he
Where
that's
does it,
in
where
the
does it say
captivity
white
is
people
going
are
into
going to go
captivity?
into captivity?
Huh?
Where does it say white people are going to
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear white people are going into slavery.
You guys invented the concept of white in the 1800s. So how would something that you invented in the 1800s be in this book today? Did you know this?
Exactly,
Did you know
John.
this nation is called Barcelona? It's not even called America. It's in the Bible. It's Second Ezra. But you didn't know that. Second Ezra is in the Apocrypha, the 14 books. The 14 books that your people took out during the Protestant Reformation. Yes, your people. The Protestant church.
Have fun, buddy.
Your people. Oh, I'm gonna have fun in the kingdom when you guys are enslaved to the actually.
Hey, you're not part of the people.
Part of which people? You have to differentiate which people you're part of.
I'm part of the United States of America.
I'm a POW here because you guys kidnapped my people from the West Coast.
Then why don't you leave?
Why don't you pay for me to go back? You guys
If
steal
you're
for
POW,
five.
you
You
can
guys
very
stole
easily
over
leave.
$4 trillion worth of labor from us, and yet you have the audacity to tell me
work?
to pay my right to go
Why are
back.
you pointing at me?
Did you work? Did we steal from you?
The Bible says prepare slaughter for its children for the iniquity of their fathers. I don't have to answer your question the way you want, devil. You're going into slavery. See, this is what you people did. You took our Bible and you gave us a slave Bible, telling us that we weren't the children of God. Your people did that.
The Bible says that
The
it's
Bible
for
says
everyone. It's good news.
It's the gospel to everyone. If you read the start
Yeah,
of every,
it's for everyone.
if
You were about to say everyone.
If you read the start of every book of the Bible, it says to the Jew.
No, it doesn't.
We don't
No,
get
it
that.
doesn't. Every book. No, read through every book.
Go to Genesis. Go to Genesis.
What does it say? What does it say in
The
Genesis?
books. You're referring to the books of Paul. That's what I'm referring
Go to Exodus. Go to Exodus.
I'm referring to the books of Paul.
Paul's talking about Christians.
Go to Leviticus.
Oh, I got to talk to my people.
Okay,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sister. Actually, I'm done with them.
Hey,
So, if
it's
you're a
great
native,
talking to you.
if you're a
You can't
native
ask questions.
Hispanic, did you know you're actually an Israelite according to the Bible?
What,
He's just gonna say you're gonna go to hell. That's all he's gonna tell you to do.
It's not according to the Bible. It's true, but it's not according to the Bible. We're the Moors. It's because we're settled by the Moors. Yeah, the Moors. So historically,
So the Moors actually function as the Hebrew interpreters from Europe.
so no, you're speaking on a religious aspect. I'm saying I know that that is true. That we're of Arab descent.
We're not Arab descent. The Arabs are of Ishmael.
Right.
So in terms
but
of the
in that area, right? In the area of Israel and Saudi Arabia and where the Mecca is and all of that area, that is our descendants because of the Moors, which settled.
The Moors,
settled.
but so here's the
So then the Moors settled.
the differentiation that you need to understand is that there were two types of Moors. There were Moors who were blacks, because all Moor means is black.
I really like this conversation.
Okay, but what I'm
No,
saying.
no, wait a minute. And I would like to continue it with you. But you're it's interesting, right? Because I'm learning something from your point of view. But that's all it is. So I would never speak with you in a way of saying,
So-
hold on, wait a minute.
So no, I'm not gonna
don't-
wait. Either
don't
we're gonna read the
interrupt.
Bible or you can walk on, because
You're gonna-
I'm reading the Bible.
But I'm trying to tell you something
And
that
I-
would help you, whatever it is that
I'm
your
not
goal.
trying to reach anybody who wants to
Are
read
you
the
out here
Bible.
reading it to people?
No,
Like you're trying to
I'm
talk
hearkening to
people
the
about it?
people who the Most High is calling back to
Right,
repentance.
but like,
If
how
you
do
don't,
you know I
if
don't
you
have
don't,
a high-
because you're sitting here contesting the Bible.
I'm not.
By your spirit, I'm gonna know who you are.
Okay.
So like this,
Hold
ma'am.
on.
I'm gonna
I'm
read
not
this book and
contesting
I'm gonna
the
test you real quick.
Bible.
I'm about to
I'm
read this
not
Bible.
gonna
Let me read it.
contest
Can
the
you read?
Bible.
Let me
I'm
read one book.
contesting
Can I read one book?
I'm
Can I read one book? Can I read one book? So I'm gonna go ahead and read,
contesting
and I'm gonna ignore you.
I'm contesting your approach, and I think that you have an important thing to speak on.
Let's see.
But I don't think you're gonna reach anybody because of the adolescent behavior that's coming with your message.
You know what's adolescent? You walking around in a shirt that says spiritual gangster when you know nothing about spirituality. That's childish.
Okay, well, what's childish is your assumption of what I know and don't know.
So what do you know? You just broke down to me wrong who the Moors are, saying that they're of Arab descent when they're not. So how are you going to break it down to me?
Yeah, they are.
They're not. The Moors were not Arab in their descent. Moor means black. And black, it's central Negro. No, there are definitely different hues of black.
The Moors
But the original
originated
Moors
in
are
the part of the world, I'm speaking to you scientifically, in the part of the world where they got the word black because they were of darker skin color, which of the Arabs is still the
everyone
same.
was not called black.
Jesus is black, and he comes from the same area.
Did you know everyone was not called black?
I do know that there's different idioms and dialects and
So let's
words
get it.
and
Let's get it.
phrases.
Let's get it.
You know what I mean? And so this is
I don't know
what
what you
you're reading from. Well, I know you don't because you don't understand what I'm telling you. And nor am I going to tell you you need to empower yourself and open your
Empower
mind
yourself.
more to conversation that would enlighten you and you can grow from as you're teaching and helping other people.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and get this real quick.
Okay, well, you're not sure, so I'll leave you to your unsureness and your good luck in your endeavors.
Yep, you too. So, anyhow. This is the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that were called nigger, which means black, and Lucius of Syria, and Manon, which had been brought up with Herod, the tetrarch in Saul. So our people will come up to us and essentially say, you don't know anything, you don't know anything, you don't know anything. But when you ask them what they know, they'll butcher everything that they tell you. The Moors were not from, they practiced Islam, but they are not derived from Arab peoples. The Moors were black people who practiced Islam, and they allowed Islam or Islamists
amongst their numbers, whether they were Edomites, whether they were Arabs, whatever. They allowed people who were not necessarily black to be incorporated in their numbers, because it was about the religious and affiliation and their goal, their end goal. That's why the Moors were displaced and taken over, because essentially they had welcomed everybody in that wasn't of so-called Moorish blood, of black blood. But that's man, wisdom is too high for us. Either way, we're gonna go ahead and get back to it. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? Well, if not, if your fathers go back to European people, that would make you from the tribe of Esau or Edom. And the Edomites are going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. Did you know that? You didn't? What do you think about that?
I don't know.
You don't think it's fair? After 500 years of oppressing our people, you guys finally get it back? God thinks it's fair. As a matter of fact, it's the patience and the faith of the saints. It's what we're waiting for, eagerly, as we see your country falling day by day. It brings joy to my heart to know that this country not only is going to fall, but the fake Jews that are over in our homeland are going to fall as well. All praises be unto the Most High. So let's get back to the lesson. I wonder what that old man was doing walking behind me. I need sunlight. It is. Let's go back to all right, we're going to go ahead and go to Jeremiah 48. So we're going to go to 48 and 42. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he hath magnified himself against the Lord. Fear and the pit and the snare shall be upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, saith the Most High. So, just as we were destroyed, they're going to be destroyed. They're going to be calling themselves all types of proverbs and bywords. And not only are they going to call themselves those things, we're going to call them those things. They're going to give back exactly what they put out against the children of Israel. Right? But it's not just Moab. If you go on to chapter 49 in Jeremiah, it talks about the penalty that's going to befall Ammon, which is the so-called Japanese man. And this is going to be Jeremiah 49 and 1. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Most High, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no hire? Why then don't their king inherit God, and his people dwell in their cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Reba of the Ammonites. And it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burnt with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Most High. Howl, O Heshbon, for I is spoiled. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah. Gird ye with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro by the hedges. For their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. So again, the language and vernacular here is constant. They're going to go into captivity just as we went into captivity. That's why the Bible says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. The words of the Bible do not get minced when it talks about the judgment that is going to befall these heathen nations for what they did to our people. And no amount of cooning and samboing and bedwinching is going to stop those things from happening to these heathen nations. Because that Edomite, he really wanted me to sit there and argue with him. And the moment I knew he wouldn't let me come out of the Bible, it was like, look, man, I'm done with you. But then to have, you know, essentially somebody body block for the white man, it was a little extra bitter, you know, to see somebody who claims to be an expert and a teacher. You know, she comes up with, she has no modest apparel, you know, no fringes. You know, the word of God is coming out. And granted, she had a partial head covering, but she didn't have a proper covering. All these different things. indicates to me that she is not a ardent student of the Bible and has plenty to learn. But when you have somebody who won't even let you read a scripture, that tells you what's going on in the minds of some of our people, right? Some of our people do not understand that they need to be taught. And part of being taught is being willing to listen and to be a student. But it's not a surprise when you see a so-called black man out here who's at the bottom of society trying to teach you something and you believe, oh, he's just a nigger, he don't know nothing. That's the attitude that you get. But everything is going to happen according to as this book details. And not only are Edom and Moab going to get their just due, but so is the so-called Japanese man, Ammon. Right? So we're going to go ahead and keep going. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burnt with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Most High God. So these people that we've been in servitude to, they're going to be our servants. Y'all got something to talk about the Bible? No? All right. Well, if your fathers go back to so-called European people, that would make you from the tribe of Edom. If your father is a native Hispanic, you would be a child of God from the Bible, from the tribe of Issachar. Learn your heritage, brothers. And learn who your enemies are. The chief enemy of Israel are the Edomites, the so-called same people you're likely walking with. Be careful, my brothers. Got a second to talk about the Bible? No. If your father goes back to European man, you're going into slavery, walking up and down stolen land. Y'all are going to get back what you did to the children of God. All the rape, robbery, and murder is not going to go unanswered. Looking off into the clouds while you walk around on the ground that your forefathers stole is not going to change a damn thing. All right. But verse 2, it's talking about how their nations are going to be brought low. Their nations are going to be made a desolate heap. Their people are going to be brought into captivity and subjection, just as we were. Just as we lost everything in 70 AD and were driven out of our land, these people are going to lose everything that they have, and they're going to be driven out of their land. They're going to serve 1,000 years of captivity, and after that, they'll go back to their lands and be blessed. But not before. They have a judgment coming. And it's a shame that our people are body blocking for these same people who deserve the judgment that's coming to them. Howl, O Heshbon, for I is spoiled. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah. Gird ye with sackcloth. Lament and run to and fro by the hedges. For their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. How you doing, sister? You got a second to talk about the Bible? I know you probably headed somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, is your father African American? African American by chance? Your father? African? From Africa? From Nigeria by chance? What nation? I'm sorry? Okay. And you're likely a Hamite. Did you know the Hamites in the Bible are going into slavery as well? Yeah, for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. Y'all sold us to the white man. Your people rounded us up and sold us. Yeah, I mean, it's just, well. So, I mean, what, you don't think you guys deserve, like, a judgment for that? Doing that to God's chosen people? Okay, so you agree with the fact that you guys are going into slavery? Okay, cool. Hey, nothing else to say? Cool. All right, rock on. Yeah, buddy, you let me live in the captivity. Anyway. All right, this is verse 5. Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Most High God of hosts, from all those that are about thee, and ye shall be driven every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wandereth. So just like our people were scattered to all the nations on the face of the planet, they too are going to be scattered. All right? One of the things that this Bible constantly says is that all the things that were done to Israel, it has never been done to any other nation. No other nation has been scattered to all the corners of the planet. No other nation has suffered under these penalties. And even in the kingdom, although they're going to get a strong taste of what we went through, they're not going to suffer every single curse that we suffer simultaneously, because they wouldn't be able to take it. Israel is the only people on this planet who has the resilience to go through 500 years of captivity and come out the other end smiling, come out the other end still trying to make friends, still trying to succeed in a land that is not their own. We're the only people capable of that. But these other nations are going to get their chance, and they're going to do 1,000 years of hardcore bondage. And they're going to understand at the end of it all what we went through, because this ain't the first time we went through it. We did 400 years in Egypt. We did 70 years, I believe, in Babylon. Like, we've been doing years in captivity, years upon years. So these other nations, they're going to learn and see what it's like. Right. In verse 6, and afterward, I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith the Most High. How you doing, sister? Just getting off work? Yeah. Did you know you're likely an Israelite from the Bible? If your father's a native Hispanic? Did you know that from the tribe of Issachar? You know your tribe, Issachar? In the Bible? Well, Issachar is described as the hardest worker on the planet. Nobody works harder than a Mexican person. Did you know that? That you guys are in the Bible, Issachar is described as a strong ass, crouched down between two burdens. And what's the animal for Mexico? The donkey, right? Yeah. Issachar means he is higher. Yeah. Sister. Hey, I'm out here every Saturday. Come learn about your heritage. I'll have more waiting for you, okay? All right. The name of God is Yahweh. That's his name. That's your God. And to the rest of you heathen walking up and down stolen land, y'all are going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. God ain't forgot nothing. Jesus don't love everybody. He didn't come to save everybody. He's coming to save his children from your hands. He that stealeth the man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, shall be surely put to death. And last time I checked, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are still in you crackers' hands. So you're going into slavery for what you've done to God's people. All praises be unto the Most High. Actually, I think we skipped verse 5. 1 second. All right. Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Most High God of hosts, from all those that be about thee. And ye shall be driven out every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wander. And afterward, I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith the Most High. So after that, he's going to end it, right? After they've been scattered and made a mockery of, because that's the old English term for ending a captivity. So when it says, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob, that means that he's going to end the captivity, and it's no different here. See, the other nations are not going into slavery forever. One of the things that a lot of these heathen nations and Israelites who are misguided don't understand is that this is not hatred. This is a judgment coming from the Most High. Now, are you at liberty to hate God's enemies? Certainly. You know, just as King David said, don't I hate those that hate thee, O Lord? I hate them with a perfect hatred. So you should hate the enemies of God, but you have to keep it in perspective. How y'all doing? Got a chance to talk about the Bible? No? All right. Well, if your fathers go back to European people, did you guys know you have an actual tribe in the Bible that you go back to? Yeah, you do. So the European man, or so-called European, goes back to Edom. Edom means red. You white people are not white, you're red. And you're also the profane of the earth, and you're hated of God. Romans 9:13, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. You all are going into slavery for what you did to God's chosen children. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The Most High hasn't forgotten that you used to burn us at the stake, that you hung us and lynched us and raped us, that you broke our men and sold our children. The Most High has not forgotten. As you walk up and down stolen land, just know it's coming back to you. All right, let's keep going. So at that point, after verse 6, 49 and 6, it ends about Moab, but then it goes into Edom, right? And we're going to read a little bit of that. Verse 7, concerning Edom, thus saith the Most High God of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? I mean, that's a very, very intelligent question that the Most High is postulating here. Because when you look at this society, it's obviously run by madmen. We dump trash in the same water that we want to drink. We dump oil in the same waterways that we're fishing for our fish and abominable foods that we shouldn't be eating anyway, like shrimp, crab, lobster, and scallops, right? But we poison the same resources that we want to then mine or gather resources from, right? Is the white man not strip mining the entire planet? Because he certainly is doing so. This white man is not smart. He is not intelligent. And he certainly does not have the foresight of a king, because a king would not destroy the very land that's beneath his feet. Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. So, the Most High is coming to bring some serious judgment to these people. We see what these people have done all around the world. Hell, we're seeing right now on center stage, Israel is finally starting to get some of the pushback from the surrounding nations that are tired of being bullied by them, tired of having rockets and bombs dropped on them for no reason at all, or at the slightest provocation. These other nations are tired of it. When Iran unveiled that city of missiles that they had, it was terrifying to see that. But I realized quickly that those missiles aren't for me. They're for my adversary. And my moment of bitterness broke forth into rejoicing and singing, because then I realized prophecy is being fulfilled right now. We're watching it in real time. We're watching the weak stand up and say, I am strong. And recompense is coming. Our liberation is coming. If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they had enough. But this white man won't. This white man, when he comes to your land, he wants to take everything. Everything. Not only is he taking the resources, like the fruit and the food, the minerals out of the ground, laying claim to the waterways, if not outright redirecting the waterways through dams and other obstructions. But he takes the culture that he steals. He takes the art, the literature, the sciences. And what he doesn't understand and can't understand, he destroys. And what he can steal, he'll take for himself. And he'll deprive the very same people who came up with it of it. This white man is insatiable. He enlarges his desires as hell and cannot be satisfied. Hell meaning the grave. The Bible literally compares the white man to the grave. That is the voraciousness of his desire. That's why no matter how much the white man steals, no matter how much he pilfers and rapes and takes from other people, he's never satisfied. But let's keep going. Verse 10, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So, this so-called white man calling himself white in general, that covering cast is being cast away by the Most High. This knowledge, this truth, is revealing this white devil for what he is. And he is the wicked and profane of the earth. He is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And all praises that the time has come that we can call him that to his face. How you brothers and sisters doing? Got a second to talk about the Bible? No?
Every day.
Every day? Well, brother, you know what tribe you're from in this book?
From a tribe?
Yeah. The tribes that are in this book. You know which one you go back to?
Christian tribe.
Ah, that's a shame.
Christian tribe.
Christian tribe?
Christian tribe.
Well, brother, if your father is an American black man, did you know you're from the tribe of Judah? That's the same tribe that Christ sprang out of. The tribe of Judah. The same tribe as King David, King Solomon. You come from royalty, brother. Yeah. Hey, we all ain't kings, brother. If you ain't of Israel, you're a beast of the field according to this book. So, brother, you better thank the Most High every day that he made you special. All right. And sister, a fool saith in his heart that there is no God. Repent and keep God's laws. All right. Let's go ahead and keep going. So verse 10 talks about Esau being made bare, right? One of the things that is happening on the internet now, because I have been an avid, I guess, affiliate of IT and building computers and things of that nature for like the last 20 years. And one of the things that I have seen is that the so-called white man is trying to hide who he is. He tries to say he's European, when the original Europeans were not so-called Edomites, right? They were Japhetic peoples. He tries to say that he was the Grecian and the Roman, but the Grecian and the Romans were not white people. They were the Minoans and the Etruscans, also Japhetic people, right? The so-called fake Jew steals two lineages simultaneously, calling himself an Ashkenazi Jew. Ashkenazi was a son of Gomer, and Gomer was a son of Japhet. So how are you the grandson of Japhet, and yet you're supposed to be from the line of Judah? That's impossible. But when you're a heathen and you don't understand the book that you stole, you'll say nonsensical things like that. Salaki, I say that, but then I just had a sister from the tribe of Judah, from what it looked like, say that there is no God. So, but it is what it is. That's why 2/3 of our people are going to be cut off and destroyed. Because at this point in the game, man, we too late in the game to be talking about there ain't no God. We're too late in the game. I mean, damn, like if you stuck on that square, and I don't judge her too harshly, because I once upon a time declared myself an Edomite. But if you're stuck on that, you just don't know enough about your history, and you don't know enough about history in general. So we're going to read 10 again. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So when it says his seed is spoiled, that is very, very accurate. Because the Edomite is currently having a population crisis, right? They are essentially having trouble siring children. And it's not just happening here in America. It's happening all over the world. That's one of the reasons why they're at the forefront of fertility treatments, IVF, things of that nature. They're trying to look into transplanting wombs from person to another person, right? I mean, what better way to become fertile than to steal the organs and parts of those who are fertile? That's what the white man is aiming to do. But the Most High is going to disappoint him. Right? 11. Leave the fatherless children. I will pursue them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith the Most High, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So, just like a lot of these Edomites, they wander by saying, hey, nothing's going to happen to us, and Jesus came for everybody. The Most High is saying, they're going to drink in this cup. It's going to happen. How y'all doing?
Doing good, sir.
Yeah? Doing all right.
Have a good one, sir.
You too. All right, 13. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Most High God, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. So not only are the cities of Edom going to be destroyed, but this whole, rebuilding, one of the things that the Bible talks about with the Edomite is that they rebuild the desolate places. But the Bible talks about the Most High. Oh, you can go ahead. Go ahead. Actually, before you go, is your father a native Hispanic by chance?
I think so.
Is he? Okay. Well, did you know that Hispanics in the Bible are actually children of God? You're one of the tribes of Israel. Yeah, you would be from the tribe of Issachar. So, yeah, Issachar means he is higher. Or it's, what is in Hebrew? Ishashakar. And it means he is higher. Who works harder than a Mexican man? Well, aside from the Most High. But of men on this planet, nobody works harder than y'all. I know that for a fact. Y'all are the hardest workers on the planet. You don't have to thank me. Thank the Most High for making you like that, right? And before you go, did you guys know that also, like your brothers are the Native Americans and blacks? Did you know that? The people down in South America are also your brothers. So there are 12 tribes in Israel. Like, take the Native Americans, for instance. The ones in the north of Montana, they're from the tribe of Gad. The ones in Florida are from the tribe of Reuben, the Seminole Indians. I'm from the tribe of Judah. That's why in the Bible it describes Christ, or Yahushua, that's his name. They describe Christ as being a black man with feet of burned brass and hair of lamb's wool, right? But just know, I know I'm throwing a lot at you real quick. But know that your tribe is Issachar, right? And you have brothers who are Native Americans and blacks and other Hispanic tribes who are down in South America. And do you know the name of God before you go? His name is Yahweh. Yeah. So the letter J didn't exist 500 years ago. So the name Jehovah, the name Jesus, those are not the names of God and his son, right? His son is named Yahweh Shai. All right. I can see you got to go, but sure thing. You're from the tribe of Issachar. Remember that, all right? Uh-huh. Everybody got to go. Everybody got to go. But, you know, with the Edomites, you know, their ideology is that we will rebuild the desolate places. You know, but the Bible even says that they shall rebuild, but the Most High will throw down. And they're going to call literally the places where the Edomite dwells the border of wickedness. Wickedness starts where the Edomites are. It starts where they arrive. It starts where they dwell. Hell, it lingers where they depart. But let's keep going. All right, so we're going to go to 13. We already read it, but I'm going to read it again. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Most High God, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. So ain't going to be no rebuilding, right? When these Edomites go into slavery, they are going into hardcore bondage. And it's going to be to the release of tension of the whole world. I'm trying to search for the word here, because I don't even know the word to exclaim trees breaking out into singing, the animals singing their praises in joy, that the white man is not there to cut down, you know, the trees, or to kill all the animals, or to poison the water, or to poison the air. You know, is there a word for, you know, the exhalation of nature, for nature being able to be at ease? I don't think there is one, but we're going to make one because we're going to get to see it. How y'all doing today? Got a second to talk about the Bible? Got a second to talk about the Bible? No? All right. If you don't mind me asking, does your father go back to like a Chinese man? Vietnamese?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
No.
Asian by chance? Or is your father a Hispanic man, native Hispanic? If you go back to Asians, you all are going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. You too had blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in slavery, the Silk Road slave trade. We have not forgotten, and neither has the Most High God. And you all are going into slavery. So the way you guys move into our neighborhoods and open up stores and then begin beating our women in your parlors, profiling us, following us around, thinking we're stealing, all that's coming back to you. Labeling us niggers and spits, you're going to have your own pejorative in the kingdom of heaven, and it's going to be a good time. See, you laugh at blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans now, but no, your entire world that you hold dear, we made. That cell phone in your hand, my people made it. So get ready for captivity. See, they're going to be able to get everything they want out of the Israelites in the kingdom, because they're going to be making our stuff. They're going to be making our phones, making our clothes, making everything that we need them to make. They're going to be picking our cotton and making our clothes from scratch. I want the finest silk. Like here in this kingdom, I make it a point to not dress elaborately because I'm in prison. Why am I going to dress my best in prison? I want to dress my best in the kingdom when I have a real appointment to go to that matters. This is all vanity here. But let's keep going. So verse 12 is talking about how these Edomites essentially believe that they're not going to be punished. They have never had their nations, or at least Europe, or the UK, United Kingdom, and America, Canada, the US, and South America, aside from when the Edomite conqueror came here and invaded this land has been unbreached since. This land sits a virgin, and it has not been penetrated by an enemy nation, but that is going to change. The judgment that is coming is going to be swift, and this place is going to fall in less than an hour. And to those of us who will not change our hearts and come back and repent, we will fall with this nation. How y'all doing today? Got to talk about the Bible?
I'm good. Thank you,
No,
sir.
no, you're good. Well, if your fathers go back to so-called Japanese or Chinese people, you're going into slavery for the Silk Road slave trade that our people went through. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Jesus doesn't love everybody, and he sure as hell doesn't love you heathens. You're going into slavery for what you did to our people, for what you still do to our people, while you say we should stand with you. Meanwhile, no one stood with us for the past 500 years as we were raped, robbed, and murdered by this white devil. It's going to be a glorious time when you heathen nations go into slavery. It's going to be a glorious time when we take your children as you took ours and we sell them on auction blocks. I can't wait. I want to be one of those guys who, I don't even know what they're called. I want to be like, 1 for a cracker here, 1 for a cracker, sold to Master Johnson. And I'm going to brand his name on your side before I sell your ass. Just like you did our people. See, it was fun when it was just the Israelites being subjected to that type of treatment. But now that it's going to befall all the heathen nations, everybody's talking about, why don't we forgive? Why don't we move on? Hey, why don't we join hands and be one family? Meanwhile, we Israelites still have to wake up day by day, reading RIP posts on Facebook, reading article after article of our people being shot dead in the streets, being discriminated against on jobs, being discriminated against in stores and establishments. But that's a good thing. I rejoice because I know it is coming back to you heathens, and you deserve every bit of it. Oh yeah, we got to get this. This is the spirit. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 34. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. How y'all doing today? Got a second to read the Bible? Brother, if you don't mind me asking, who's your father? Is he from Africa? What country in Africa? Rwanda? Ah, you guys know y'all are the sons of Ham, right? Y'all sold us to the white man. Y'all going into slavery for that. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's cool to be able to walk up and down the streets of America pretending to be a black man, stealing our swag, calling us Nkata. We know what that means, calling us cotton picker. But don't worry, y'all gonna be picking cotton and making clothes, and it's gonna be a good time. We gonna get back from y'all what y'all got from us. It's gonna be a good day. See, our God is strong. See, that's the thing our people don't understand. They've lost faith. It's no longer talked about how the Most High liberated the children of Israel from Egypt. It's not talked about how we were liberated from captivity after captivity after captivity. How the Most High kept sending judges to fight for us and to raise us up and to get us out of captivity. But we're going to talk about it again once we're raised up out of Babylon and we get the hell out of here. When that happens, we are going to talk about it non-stop. And these other nations, when they get tired of hearing it, we're going to beat their backs in and then talk their ear off about it smooth. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a great day. Okay, we're going to skip to 15. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Is that not the case of the Edomite today? Of all the peoples of the planet, the Edomites are the smallest tribe in existence. Right? What the Edomite purposely does to hide his small numbers is he'll go into a community and he'll go, okay, well, you guys are the Hutsis and you guys are the Tutsis, like he did in Rwanda. Ironically, the person I just talked to was an African from Rwanda. Praise to the Most High. But the white man will come into your neighborhood and he'll give guns to somebody and he'll deprive the other people of resources. So now the people who don't have anything want to go try to take from the people who have things. Like the white man will start drawing lines between rich and poor, tall and short, fat and skinny. If you read the Willie Lynch paper, it tells you exactly how this Edomite devil thinks. And through the descent tension that he sows within your people, he can hide his own flaws. He can hide his own weaknesses. But it's like I said, the covering cast is being drawn back, and people are seeing Esau for what he is. He's being made naked, and he cannot hide himself. And these other nations who have latched on to Esau, they're going to be exposed for what they've become as well. You Edomites are going into slavery, walking up and down stolen land. God hasn't forgotten what you did to his children, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Jesus didn't come for everybody. Jesus don't love everybody. Jesus said he was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And if you aren't a black, Hispanic, or Native American, or you don't descend from an Israelite, your ass is going into slavery. All right, we're going to go to verse 16 of Jeremiah and 49. So Jeremiah 49 and 16. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee in the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou sayest, thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Most High God, and Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone who goeth by, it shall be astonished. It shall hiss at the plagues thereof. So everybody who passes by this Edomite in the kingdom after they've been thrown down, they're going to be like, man, damn, yo. Like, man, y'all got messed up. They're going to hiss and wave their hand. They ain't going to want nothing to do with them. Because at that point, Edom is going to be known as the most profane and the wicked. They're going to know that all these other heathen nations are going to know that they were not only tricked and lied to, but they were tricked and lied into oppressing God's chosen children. And for that, there is a hefty price to pay. And that price is going to be collected in blood. All right. And this is more along the lines of prophecy unfolding today. And we're going to get it in verse 20. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No. Well, just in case you don't know while you're walking by, the so-called European, they go back to a tribe in this book. Are you familiar with what tribe you go back to?
Yeah, man. Thank
Which
you.
one?
Have a good one.
No, you too. It's going to be great when you guys go into slavery for what you did to my people. The things that you guys did. I'm sorry?
I agree with you.
You do? Okay, that's good.
But I'm not into the Bible.
Well, whether into the Bible or not, you guys know you got a recompense coming. So that's good enough. That's good enough. Enjoy your day. Because when slavery comes, you're not going to enjoy it for 1,000 years. I'm going to enjoy it. I know I am. Boy, I can't wait to crack a whip over your back and say, get your ass back to work. Boy, I can't wait. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, buddy. See, some of these Edomites, they know what's going on. See, it makes me question all the more why we body block them. Why do our people go, you know what? Massa's in trouble. Let me go help them. Like, I don't understand that. But in the Bible, it talks about there are evil men who hated their own people. You know, the Bible accounts for everything. And that's why you can tell when somebody's not reading this book, because they're completely caught up in Babylon. They want to get to the next movie show. They want to go to church. You know, they want to go to a mixed multitude party. They want to do something that has them basically, partying it up and having a good time here in Babylon, when they should be learning more about keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. Y'all got to talk about the Bible? No? Well, that's good as you walk up and down stolen land. The land that you all stole from the Native Americans, the Native Mexicans, the Native Hispanics. Y'all are going into slavery for what you did to God's chosen people. You all are the chief enemy of God, you Edomites. And no, after 1,000 years of captivity, you all are going to be burned off the face of the earth because you are the cancer of this planet. All the fruit-bearing trees are gone. All the waterways are polluted. All the airways are polluted. And for what? For you Edomites to collect the buck that you squandered. Why have you taken our history and our art and our music? Just so that you can produce knockoff copies that don't even hold the same flavor as the original? Like, what's the point? Like, I laugh at you all too as you try to copy us. That's why you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you better wake up. You got an enemy out here. And he's taking everything from you, including your heritage, including your art, including your children. Nothing is sacred to this devil. This is Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The least of the flock is Israel. Not the people, but the people in the land right now, the fake Jew, right? Amalek is not only a tribe of Edom, but is the smallest tribe of Edom and the most hated of the Most High. So when the Bible talks about Edom being made small and greatly despised in ways, that prophecy has already happened. But they're still in power and they have to be dethroned. And that too has not happened yet. It is going to happen. And this passage here is indicative of that happening and taking place. And it describes the nature of how it's going to begin. They're going to be drawn out by the least of the flock. The least of their flock is Amalek. They're the least, and they're the least in populace, but they're the most powerful in terms of wealth and the ownership of property and the ownership of just wealth in general and resources. But in the times to come, every man is going to go back into their own nation. And the services that they procure with money is not going to be available to them anymore. How you doing, sister? Got something to talk about the Bible? I know you going. Is your father a native Hispanic by chance?
Yes.
Okay, before you go, did you know you're an Israelite according to the Bible? The Bible talks about the Mexicans, the most hard-working people on the planet. You guys are from the tribe of Issachar. Issachar means he is hired. Issachar is a strong ass, crouched down between two burdens. Mexico is located between America and South America. The Bible pins your people to a T. Repent and keep the laws. And to you so-called white people walking up and down stolen land, you're an Edomite and you're going into slavery. To the same people that you proclaim to call brothers. The people that you want to basically go to church with and hold hands with and say Jesus came for everybody. When Jesus himself said, I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But that's about it. You know, that was the mainstay of my lesson today. Yeah, I got through it. I'm getting better. Getting a little better. All praises to the Most High. Alright. But let's go ahead and get a few scriptures. How y'all doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. Got something to talk about the Bible?
Good right now.
Well, sir, is your father native Hispanic by chance? No. Mexican? No. Well, if your fathers go back to so-called European people, white men, that would make you from the tribe of Edom. And you're going into slavery according to the Bible for the rape, robbery, and murder of our people. See, you throw a thumbs up. We did the same thing when the white man pulled up on the shores of this nation before he handed out smallpox blankets and started lynching and raping us and murdering our children, before he started locking our children in cages. But don't worry, the recompense coming to you. You're going to know everything we went through firsthand. It's going to be a good time when I see your old asses out in the cotton field picking my cotton and making my clothes. To understand, right? These heathen nations, especially Esau, he is made to be the wicked of the planet. One of the things that our people don't quite understand is that you are never going to fix what is set crooked in these people, because you cannot change what the Most High has said a certain way, right? No matter how much the white man has tried, he cannot change the fact that the so-called black man from Judah, the tribe of Judah, holds the scepter of this world. So when it comes to all the trends, comes to the direction that this world is going to go in, the scepter has not departed from Judah, despite the efforts of Esau. And despite the efforts of the Israelites, we can't change the wicked nature of this Edomite. We can't change it, despite how hard we've tried. We've tried for 500 years to humanize this monster, and we can't do it. Here's a little bit in Habakkuk to prove just that. This is Habakkuk, chapter 2, and verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. it will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desires is hell, and as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heapeth unto himself all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So this although it was only four verses, it was a mouthful, right? It talks about, not losing faith in the prophecies being fulfilled, in the judgment to come, because it's coming. Though we have to wait for it, it will surely come. So wait for it, right? And 4 details how his soul, the soul of the Edomite, is crooked. The soul in him is not upright, but the just shall live by their faith. The men of the Lord, we live by our faith, that not only keeping the law, statutes, and commandments are important, but that our Messiah is going to come and liberate us from this captivity and set this planet back in order, because this is not sustainable. These people walking around like they don't have a care in the world, this is not sustainable. Our people holding hands with the very same people who are rape, robbing, and murdering our people at the same time, it's not sustainable. Everything is coming to a breaking point. And just as I brought out earlier, how the Edomite enlarges their desires is hell, how they can't be satisfied. They are insatiable people. This says this right here in verse 6 of Habakkuk chapter 2. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Well, if your fathers go back to European people, did you guys know in the Bible you're the Edomites? And the Edomites are hated of God? Romans 9 and 13. Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. And you guys are going into slavery for what you've done to God's chosen people? You should have never put your hand on us. When you have your children in the kingdom of heaven, they will be taken from you. As soon as they're old enough to crawl, they're going to crawl their asses to do some work. Whether it's to the cotton field, I don't care if it's picking flowers. On my plantation, there ain't going to be no Edomites with children that they get to raise. I'm sorry. That shit is not happening. Then y'all going to get that back double for me. And if you're a native Hispanic, sir, did you know that you're an Israelite according to the Bible? The native Hispanic or Mexican man is from the tribe of Issachar. Issachar meaning he is hired. Issachar literally is the hardest working man on the planet, and the Bible attests to it. His name means he is hired. How you brothers doing? Y'all gotta say something about the Bible? Well, just in case y'all don't want to, that's fine. But just know if you're a native Hispanic, y'all are actually Israelites in the Bible. The Mexican man is the hardest worker on the planet. Wouldn't you agree? You can at least talk to me on that. You guys aren't the hardest workers? Because I know you are. You guys party hard too. Repent and keep God's laws, brothers. Reclaim your heritage. You're not American. You're not Mexican. But in verse 6 also talks about, actually it was 4 verses. But verse 6 talks about, destruction coming to the people that increase things that aren't theirs. How do you increase something that's not yours? Well, you steal it. So if you're stealing a bunch of stuff, you're going to face destruction for that. If you're stealing people and putting them in captivity, and those people are found in your hand, you're going to be put to death for that. You're going to suffer a penalty for that. It's funny. I'm looking at the bottom of your stairs, and I see what looks to either be so-called American blacks or so-called Africans. And they're standing there with Esau, and Esau is, at the head, directing everything. And it's just, man, it's hilarious. You see it, and it's baffling. I still wonder, how is it possible that our people still believes this monster is human? This monster is not even human by the direct definition of the word human, because they have no hue. Their blood shows forth through their skin. Their skin is translucent, if you want to be technical. Y'all got a second to talk about the Bible? No? Oh yeah, it's fine. If your fathers go back to Europeans, y'all going into slavery for the rape, robbery, and murder of God's chosen people. 500 years of abuse is coming to an end as your nation falls. And I personally cannot wait for the day that I hear the first whip crack over your back, because your people earned it. You earned it with every stripe that you put on my people's back. You earned it with every time you defrauded the Native Americans. Your people broke over 750 treaties. You're still trying to run pipes through their land right now. The Native American man, woman, and child doesn't even have access to clean food and water. Not even taking into account Flint, Michigan, and areas like that, where there's lead in the water. On purpose to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, trying to further poison us. But we're still here by the grace and glory of the Most High God. And you all are going into slavery for what you've done to our people. And to you blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans, wake up and stop joining hands with your enemy. These are the same people walking around on your land, my Hispanic brothers. This white devil walks on your land, and he doesn't give you any respect because he thinks it's all ours now. Meanwhile, he locks your children in cages at the border. Meanwhile, he shoots you down in the street. Meanwhile, he portrays you as the worst person in the world, whether it be a criminal, a drug dealer. That's the white man. But the moment you tell him he has a judgment coming, he doesn't want to talk to you. And sister, if you're interested, come talk to me. Come get your heritage back. Learn who you are in this Bible. I think we ran a little long today. Nah, we right on time. All right. All right. This is Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 8. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. You Edomites are going to be put into slavery. But before that, you are going to suffer an awe-inspiring destruction. And I cannot wait to see this nation bombed to hell. And the white man asking for help. Because I got news for you, help ain't coming. You burned every bridge. You got a couple of coons in your military, but those coons can't hold this place up. America is falling by the day. And I personally am thankful that the torture that we suffer here in America will end. The perpetual state of servitude shall end. And verse 12, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. This white man has done nothing but kill, rape, rob, and murder, and pillage. And that is how he has established every city that he has on the face of the planet. By the sword shall he live. That was one of the blessings that Esau received. How y'all doing today?
Good, how are you?
Hey, brother, is your father a native Hispanic to this land?
Yes.
Yes? Did you know that native Hispanics, you actually go back to a tribe in the Bible? Did you know that? Yeah, you come from the tribe of Issachar. Yeah. Issachar means he is hired, right? And it speaks to the hardworking nature of the Mexican person. Are you guys not the hardest workers on the planet? Right? I know it. So I'm from the tribe of Judah, right? And that's actually the fourth son of Jacob. Issachar is the 12th son of Jacob. So just know that you're an Israelite, brother, right? And the Bible actually talks about your people. It talks about how the animal for your people is the bull or the donkey. And that donkey is a strong ass crouched down between two burdens. Where's Mexico located? Between America and South America. Reclaim your heritage, brother. Because before you talked to me, you thought you were Mexican, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you still think you're a Mexican? You have doubts, right? Yeah. I'm out here every Saturday. The hours fluctuate, but usually between 3 and about 5. I'm out here. But every time you come by, if I see you, sister, as well, I'll break all off some of your heritage. Okay? Like the Los Lunas stone, that was a stone that was found in Mexico that had Paleo-Hebrew written all over it. Not the Hebrew that they speak in Israel now. That's Yiddish. That's a mixture of Hebrew and German. Or I think it's Hebrew, Latin, and German. It's like some mixture. But Paleo-Hebrew is how essentially your people spoke, how my people spoke before we were relocated from West Africa, and how the people of South America, people like in Chile, Brazil, Uruguay, all those places, they're your brothers from the tribe of like Zebulun, Naphtali, all the various tribes. But most importantly, before you leave, I just want to make sure you know your tribe. tribe? And do you know the name of God? What's his name? God's a title. So that's the reason why I brought it up. So when you read the Bible, the context of it is in the etymology of words. All the etymology means is like the meaning and the way that word is derived, right? So God just means power. So in the book of Psalms, it says that we are gods. The children of God, the Israelites, are gods on the earth. Jesus Christ himself said it. He said, we are gods. Because they were trying to stone him. Remember he said he was the son of the Most High? And he said, well, we're all gods. And then the Pharisees were kind of like, oh, shit, what do we do? Do we stone him? But that's because the children of God are actually gods on the earth. But God is a title. The name of God is Yahweh, which means he is. And that's from a document called the Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton is one of the oldest documents that we have with the name of God on it. Yeah. Reclaim your history, brother. This white devil's never going to tell you. Never. Yeah. This is your land. They walk up and down your land. And it pisses me off because even though they kidnapped us from the west coast of Africa and brought us here, you're our brother. And this is your land. And you shouldn't have to read an article about children being locked in cages at the border. That's bullshit, right? On the land that your people fought and died for. So, brother, come back and see me, all right, man? My name is Kyle. Yeah. What's your name? Emmanuel. Olympia? Okay. All right. Emmanuel and Olympia, come get your heritage back. And get the 1611 King James Bible and read the book of 2nd Ezra. Okay, 2nd Ezra. It talks about how your people essentially came to this land and it's called Arsenal. Okay, this land's not even called America. America is named after an Italian navigator named Amerigo Vespucci. You see what I'm saying? So even what you call yourself is indicative of the mental bondage that you're in. That's why this book talks about setting you free, right? Huh? So that's what this book does. 1611 King James? Yeah, do you have a phone? You can take a picture of it. I don't mind that at all. So the 1611 King James Bible has the 14 books that they took out of the regular Bible. Those 14 books, are you familiar with the slave Bible that they gave Negroes here in slavery? So what they did was, because if we read this book, if you read Deuteronomy 28, for instance, Deuteronomy 28, and let me read this real quick if you got a good time. You guys caught me at the end. I love running my mouth, so you guys got me. So it's 28, I'm sorry, 28 and 16. All right, and it says here, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again in ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it before again. So what he's saying is, you're going to go into Egypt again by ships, but you're not going to go the same way. Well, how would you go into Egypt by a ship if you're on the west coast of Africa? You would just walk over there, right? Well, it's not talking about Egypt, the land. It's talking about Egyptos. Egyptos in Greek means bondage. So if you know the etymology of the word, you can get the real meaning that it's talking about. But it's saying that it's going to bring you into Egypt again with ships, right? By way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall redeem you or get you out of slavery. Now, who all did that happen to? It happened to blacks, it happened to Hispanics, and it happened to natives. Did it happen to anybody else who was on a cargo slave ship? No. So Deuteronomy 28 is one of the ways that you can know who the Israelites are, the curses that are on us, like the evil eye toward our brother. Most black folks, when you walk past us, we look at you like, you know what I'm saying, that evil eye. But when we're aware of the curses, we don't have to do that anymore. Well, if you're not an Israelite, that ain't for you. You're going into captivity. Is your father a native Hispanic? You got to think about it. It's Jewish. Now, you definitely going into slavery. Amalek is the chief enemy of God. You don't know that? How are you a Jew when the true Jews are black? The Jews are black unto the ground. You see what I'm saying? That's also in the Bible. So these, and just so you know, these are the same people who financed the slave ships. There are actual ledgers that you can look up today that have their names on them. They paid for the slave ships that we were in. Yeah, brother. I'm not gonna hold you up too much.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Much,
sure
man.
thing. What's the name of God before you go?
Sorry,
No, you're good. The J is only 500 years old, so it can't be Jehovah. It's
It's Yahweh. Yeah. So you remember that Native Americans, you hear like, oh, Yahweh. They're saying Yahweh because they too spoke Hebrew. Put it together, right? Yeah, you put it together, right? Yeah, yeah.
All right, man. All right, well,
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah. I got you, Manuel. All right, y'all take care.
All right, you too.
Yeah, yeah. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And, yeah, all praise to the Most High. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And, yeah, that's it. How you doing? Your father go back to European people by chance? You know Europeans going into slavery for what they did to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Yep, the Most High requires that which is past, and he ain't forgot nothing. Every stripe you put on my people's back, we're going to return it double unto you. The way you sold our children, we're going to sell yours. The way you kicked our slave cabin doors in on random nights to do what you wanted, we're going to do that to you. You're going to make my clothes and warm up my bed, and it's going to be a good day. But we're going to go ahead and sign off here. All praise to the Most High. And, yeah, death to America. All right.